And we are live. Welcome, everybody. Very excited to be back on the live stream. And it's been a busy couple weeks. It's been nuts. Last week was the International Trumpet Guild Conference, of course, the big trumpet event of the year. But we've got another big trumpet event of the year coming up with the TMTC Season 3. So I want to let you know all about that. And while people join in, we're going to fill you in with everything that's happening. We're going to be talking about the trumpeters multi-track competition. It's a cool thing. It's exciting. I think a lot of you are going to want to know, about this, what it's all about. And I'm really excited to be joined today with some friends of mine, some fellow trumpeters, some wonderful people that I'm excited to introduce to you. We've got Brandon Dix and we have Marcus Grant. Welcome, both of you. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. How are you both doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm
Not
doing
too
well.
bad.
Yeah, good. What's neither of you were at ITG. Brandon, last year you were at ITG. You performed, and that was great. Marcus, have you been to ITG before?
Yes, I have, but it's been quite a while. I think probably about 9 years at this point. Various circumstances as to why that might be the case. I've done a lot more at the National Trumpet Competition.
Yes.
Hopefully, I'll be at ITG in the near future. Hopefully next year.
Yeah, so NTC, you've got some official position there that you were doing, right?
That's correct. Yeah, I'm currently serving as one of the members of the board of directors. I also oversee the larger side of the social media side of things, and I also run the YouTube channel for the official NTC.
Excellent. So that's fantastic. So today we're talking about the TMTC. So for people who are watching this live, for people who are checking the replay, why don't you just quickly share what the overview of what it is and why it is and how it came to be.
Sure thing. So the Trumpeters Multi-Track Competition is basically a music video competition where you create your own multi-tracks all by yourself and you enter in for a cash prize. We started actually during COVID. We decided to do a collaboration, me, Marcus, and David Cook. David can't be here today, sadly. And the collaboration turned into something even bigger than we anticipated. There was some other competitions because of COVID that were transitioning from in-person to online. And we wanted to be sure that we were promoting people to learn how to actually multi-track and do it in a professional manner. So we came together, we got some rules, and also made a little teaching seminar, and TMTC was formed. We're on season 3 now, and we are excited to do some new changes this upcoming season as well. Do you have anything to add to that, Marcus?
No, you pretty much said it. It was really great when the three of us got together. We got together with the intention of just doing a collab video. But then when we realized how passionate we were about multi-tracking in general and how empowering of a skill it can be to be able to produce your own craft and send it out to the world, we decided to create an avenue for which people could do that. So. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it, and it's been a joy since we started.
Amazing. It makes me think like a lot of people really view music as a as the performance, as the sonic experience, and then the visual. They really view them as separate things online. They like we go in person, like you see a concert, you hear people perform. It's like it's the full package, right? You're hearing them, you're seeing them, like you're experiencing it. You go online, we got Spotify, we got YouTube Music, we got all these things, CDs and albums, and it's like, well, hey, we're in an opportunity now where we can present so much more, a greater experience to the listener, to our audience, to the people that we're trying to connect with. And I feel it really makes me think, like, I hadn't considered this before, but like, I bet if we, we're able to kind of go back in time and take some of these big musical titans of the past and bring them to the future, bring them to today. I bet they'd be all over multimedia. I bet they would be, composing, like doing all this thing, using all the tools available to them, that we've got now, because they were using the tools that were available to them then. And this is just the natural evolution. So it's pretty fantastic that you guys, said, hey, this is something that more people should be, thinking about and talking about. And, you've turned it into such a cool competition, this, such a cool event. So you've mentioned it's season 3. So, how was season 1? How was season 2? How's it grown? You mentioned like there's some new things coming up. Like, what have been some of the experiences that you're, were really just excited about, and kind of, what was kind of unexpectedly like blew you away leading up?
You or me, Brandon? Who's first?
You go first, Marcus.
Okay, absolutely cool, good stuff. Well, one of the things that blew, I think, all of us away, but especially me from the very beginning, from season 1, was just what our current musicians were willing to do. When we provided an avenue for them to operate in that particular manner. Of course, individuals during the COVID season we're getting into, producing and sort of dabbling around the area of trying to work with cameras to make themselves look good, to work with digital audio workstations to make them sound good, etc. But when we provided an avenue for individuals to do that and to do it to the best of their ability, we were just blown away at the overall quality that people were willing to put out. And it only got even more impressive in season 2, especially some of the people who returned back. They had one successful season and they decided they wanted to try a whole bunch of things after about a year's worth of experience. I'm going to talk about it a lot, but the empowering, sort of act of being able to sort of be the captain of your own fate from the beginning to the end of that design process. It's been something that has really shown quite a bit of creativity in the particularly trumpet world that we have not necessarily been accustomed to seeing. And I'm glad that you mentioned what you did earlier, Josh, about our the greats of our past and how they kind of got to where they were. What they did at their time was cutting edge, and it's one of the reasons why they're all remarkable. And one of the things that continued not only to stay relevant, but in order to stay remarkable in our community as up and coming professionals, or as just passionate content creators, whatever the case may be, whatever your case individually might be, is that we continue to take the things that are at our disposal and we use them to express ourselves in the best way we possibly can and to serve our audience as best as we possibly can. So going through the first couple of seasons, we really got to see, it was almost as though people had been yearning to do that previously, and then we were able to give an avenue where they could do it as a competition, and there was cash prizes, and we had a couple of sponsorships, and people just kind of went to town with it. And we've got some really impressive examples of some of the things from the previous seasons.
Fantastic. So what 2 seasons, you've got some past winners. Who are they? What are they up to?
So the past winners that we have right from season 2 was Cameron Milligan. I don't have their names right here. I'm sorry. Cameron Milligan, Matt Brockman, and Jessica Farmer.
Yeah,
so
awesome. And you had a lot of entrants.
Yes, it was less than season 1 because in the Marvel community and movies in general, everyone's talking about Marvel fatigue of just so many superhero movies out. Well, we did have a similar thing of too many multi-tracks and people tired of multi-tracking from being in COVID times. Yeah. So we did feel a little bit of that, but we are feeling more of a resurgence now that COVID's kind of going away.
Yeah, the Zoom fatigue was real, and so just tossing it out. Everyone, thank you for being here. We are live with Brandon and Marcus. We were talking about the TMTC. This is a very exciting, cool music competition that's happening in the trumpet world that all of you could participate in. And if you've got any questions, put them in the comments. Put them in the comments, and we will we'll address them. You know, put them in the comments, and we'll answer your questions. You know, we want to have this be an interactive thing, so you know, don't be shy. Now we're on to season 3. Let's see what we got here. Right, look at this. Boom. So you weren't joking. There are some prizes, right? Look at this. Producer division, full length music video, video length, unrestricted. All right. So anyone who's you know, you can do a multi-track of Mahler 2 if you want. Just do every single piece. We're gonna have an hour and a half. We're just gonna sit and watch. It's gonna be great. First place, the Barkley Infinity Ribbon microphone. If you don't know about these mics, these are astonishing. Second prize, cash prize. And then in the shorts division, wow, you got a shorts division also with a ribbon microphone. This is awesome. This is actually like, I want to enter. Can I enter? Are there rules?
You can. We don't have it as a restriction.
Maybe I should enter too, because I really want one of those microphones. And it's like, okay, do I have time? I gotta find all that out. So that's awesome. That is yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk a little bit more. So we're talking about multi-tracking. I think everyone here, you know, has got a good sense of, you know, what multi-tracking is, but just so that we leave no question unanswered, you want to talk about kind of what it is, how you started it, and you know, maybe what you need to get going with that.
Sure thing. Before that, there is one other exciting thing for the season 3. It is reduced entry fees as well. So
absolutely.
For the shorts, it's only $7.99 to submit a video. Yeah, big applause. And then the full producer, you can submit for $14.99 and unlimited submissions as well. So if you want to send in 15, by all means. If you have 15 multi-tracks, great to you.
Wait, how much is it? How much is it to submit?
For the producer division, there's 2 different prices for each division. The producer one is, which that's the full length videos, that's $14.99. The shorts is $7.99.
Oh, this is accessible to everyone.
Yes, compared to last year, which was $50 to enter.
Oh, yeah,
so very reduced.
Now you can like submit multiple entries if you want.
Yeah,
exactly.
We did actually have a one of our competitors actually reached out to me a few days ago, and it was funny. He was you know, kind of it sounded like he was saying it kind of in a joking way. He was like, unlimited entries. So can I submit 20 if I wanted to? It's like, actually, yes, you can. And I made sure that he understood the disclaimers and whatnot. You know, that it's an entry fee, of course, but you can submit literally, if you had 200, you could submit 200. I don't know how thrilled our judges would be of judging 200 of the same person, but it is possible. So, you know, maybe we'll regret that. Maybe you guys will give us something to regret this season. And you submit 200 entries, but we'll find out. But yeah.
And sadly, only one video will be placed too. So if you send in 15, you won't get first, second, third, because there's also good. Sorry.
You can only win once. So well, you know, you got to bring it, you know, and it's like that's an interesting proposition. It's like, okay, you want to spend a lot of time doing a lot of videos, or you want to spend a lot of time knocking one out of the park.
Or you can make one long video, and one segment of that video you can put to the shorts. So
really?
That is allowed too.
Yep.
Great. Oh, awesome. That's terrific. So that gives people ideas about maybe what type of music they want to pick. So on that note, what are some of the different, you know, pieces? What are some of the different you know, musical selections that have been presented in the past? And you know, anything that was like really surprising, or anything that caught you off guard, or anything that you were like, yes.
I was a really big fan of Jessica Farmer's Billie Eilish cover that she did this past season. She went to the beach and essentially did almost like what you would refer to as a traditional music video. There was a lot of clever use of editing features that she did. A lot of she did some retrograde on some of her parts. I want to say she recorded somewhere around the neighborhood of 30 different tracks, but she
Wow.
panned it and balanced it in such a way that it was pretty easy to hear the melody. It was really quite creative. You know, it wasn't one of those. You know, it was obviously a music production first, and not like a trumpet performance. You know what I mean? And so there's, you know, it was really cool to see that. We also had Marvel medleys find their way in. Jessica Farmer also competed in season 1. She did Star Trek, a Star Trek arrangement. And so we've had a lot of things like that. We of course have had trumpet ensemble standards, which it's really cool to see what one can do as a one-man band with those standards oftentimes, because, you know, obviously as a trumpet player, it demands from you to have command over your all of your range in your register, which is one of the things that you've talked about, Josh, on your previous streams of just the importance of being connected from the top to the bottom, and not just having your range prepared for all the first trumpet parts in your wind ensemble or orchestra, but being able to play that F sharp below the staff and the F sharp above the staff and being able to access it without hurting yourself. You're able to do some really, really great things as a result of that. So we saw some really great examples of that as well. But really the imagination that, you know, and the creativity is just, there's almost no limits. If you can try it and it works, then it works. And so we've already seen a lot of things as a result of that. We've seen some programmatic videos as well in our competition. Just a lot of really great creative things that you would never see, that you would probably never, ever have the opportunity to experience in a live chamber ensemble recital or a solo recital, just because of the nature of how they can do those things. So yeah, it's been really cool.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. Like the nature of the medium. It presents opportunities that you couldn't get anywhere else. And, you know, that's one thing that really, you know, has drawn me to YouTube. And, you know, this, you know, I'm a performing trumpeter. Like, you know, a lot of people, if you're watching, you know, on YouTube, you're like, oh, this is the mute guy, or, oh, this is like, sure, I wear a lot of different hats, and, you know, I'm into a lot of different things. But like, I was at the Green Mill last night performing. You know, I was in Ohio on Tuesday playing actually the grand opening for Lamborghini, Ohio. You know, like with my jazz trio, I'm going to Colorado and Texas next month to perform. Like, you know, that's what I do. But like YouTube, creating, filming, editing, you know, whether it's me making my mute videos and everything, or, you know, I've done a couple multi-tracks, but that's like something I want to do more of. Like, that's just another outlet of expression. It's another way that I can, you know, create, that I can be creative from my home, you know, without having, you know, to get together with other people on the bandstand. So that's just something that I love about it. And that's like what really drew me into YouTube and drew me into like doing these types of, you know, creative things and doing these, you know, forums. I love, you know, interviewing and discussing and talking with people. So that's great. We got a question here. Oh, this is a trumpet question, but that's cool. We're all trumpeters here. Razvan, okay, is there a problem if I play the trumpet a little bit on the right side of the lips? So this is like a trumpet chop technique question. So I would say this is a question best answered, and, you know, by your teacher, if you have a local professional, someone that you can, you know, interact with and talk with in person. It's a challenge to give this kind of advice when we haven't seen you play, you know, we haven't heard you play. Some people, you know, if it's over a little bit, it's okay. You know, like everyone's teeth, lips, everything's a little bit different. If it's on the corner, like literally on the corner, you're probably going to run into some issues. Like, you're going to progress up to a certain point, and then you're going to have to fix things. But, you know, generally saying kind of in the middle, you know, that you're gonna be best suited there.
Now, all three of us are teachers, so I think it's cool that we had that question there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. There are a couple of phenomenal trumpet players, especially recently, who have found their way up on social media, and we're starting to see more and more. There's a particular individual who just recently won a job, who hopped on the TikTok, and she was there all of 6 or so days. And we can give her a shout out, Christina Allegre, if you guys do not know her. She's made her way into the national trumpet competition 2 years in a row, placed second place a year ago in the undergraduate division, and then won a job in one of the Army bands this this particular year. Phenomenal player, plays a little off to the side, but sounds like $1 million. And we have, of course, a bunch of other trumpet players who are professionals who do that. And, if you're going to focus on if you had to choose between playing perfectly in the center of your lips and making the best sound you possibly can, playing as efficiently as you can, and being able to sustain that for a period of time, obviously it would be the latter. But your mouthpiece setup is going to be, when you put it in the center, that's the place where you start. That's where it's easiest and most consistent for you to create that airstream. But if your airstream goes off to the side, then maybe perhaps your playing is a little bit off to the side. Like Josh said, that's something that you want to consult your teacher about, because there may be some other habits that creep in as a result of you playing off to the side that you will certainly want to address. But you don't want to automatically panic if you're not playing perfectly on the center, and many times it's perfectly fine. So hopefully that is helpful to you. And like I said, we're all teachers, so happy to answer those questions.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay to follow rules of thumb sometimes of centering. The rule of thumb I usually get with students, if I hear something that might be prohibiting them, is going in between the 2 teeth, the gap in between the teeth. Because if you say, oh, it's on the center of the lips, I've been finding for most students, they think the center is actually one of their teeth because they tongue right behind them instead of in the gap. So if that works for you, great. If it's a better sound, great. If it doesn't, ignore it. Move on. That's the best rule. So
yeah. I mean, some great advice is, all things that aside, like, if you're following the sound, if you're following your ear, if it sounds good, if it feels comfortable, if you're able to play like what you want to play, then you're good. Then you're cool. You may get to a point where, like I said, like, you're going to reach some type of a limit or a barrier because, you may be set up one way or the other, but that happens anyway. That happens with all of us. Like, all of us are always going to reach that wall that we need to, we need to climb over it. We need to go around it. We need to break on through it, whatever it is. Like, that's how it works with everyone, from the most beginner to, top pros that are working professionally in orchestras and studios and on the road. We're all dealing with whatever it is that we need to deal with, whether it's, you can see it on the outside or not. So, good question. So, that is, if anyone else has got questions, we're happy to talk about trumpet. We love the trumpet. That's why we're here. But the TMTC, for everyone who's new joining us, this is great. We got 43 people watching. Awesome. And across Facebook and on YouTube, welcome. If you've got any questions, we are answering them. And this is what we're talking about: the Trumpeters Multi-Track Competition Season 3, which is coming up. All right, the submission deadline is August 15th. It is very accessible. It's inexpensive to enter. There are some fantastic prizes, and we've been talking about what this is, what it's all about, and why we should be paying attention to this. All right, so that's something that we haven't really dived into too much. We did kind of bring up the idea that if some of these musical titans of the past were alive today, I bet they'd be doing this type of stuff. They would be writing pieces of music just for online, for electronics, for different media, applications, because these are the tools available today. And we've got multi-tracking, and anyone can do it. Anyone, like if you got a phone, you can make it happen. You can do it, right? If you're big into YouTube like me, it's like MKBHD, one of the biggest guys out there in tech. He started on his phone. Mr. Beast, same thing, started on his phone. Like all these people doing it, and the apps that are out there, available. The only thing that's limiting you is, your drive to do it. Like the tools are out there. Don't think, oh, I don't have a camera like this, or I don't have a microphone like this. Like you don't need the whole setup. On one hand, sure, it can make it easier, but on the other hand, like it's like that. It's like that quote: "More money, more problems." Like more gear, more problems. Like sometimes easier is better. Like don't feel as though you don't have what you need in order to do it, because I can assure you, everyone who's watching this, you already have a device. Like that means you can do it.
And we are in this season, we're the release date, we're still in development, but we're doing a basics and multi-tracking course where you actually can learn the step-by-step process on how to multi-track. In the past, we've been doing seminars, which have been great, but we want to give a full video series of here is some problems that you'll have with multi-tracking, even just like setting up your microphone, some of the little nuances of the fact that you have to go in your settings in order to change the input level instead of just doing it on the mic itself. Stuff like that, where you don't really have someone telling you that, or even researching it can be quite difficult. So it's in development. We wanted to get it out earlier. Both me and Marcus are professors too, so busy lives. It will be coming most likely, stay tuned, next week, if not the week after. So
yeah, there's some really interesting aspects about just looking good on camera in general. First of all, and it like Josh said, right? Phone. Do you have a phone? Awesome. You can do multi-tracking, right? Do you have a computer? Then you can do high quality multi-tracking. That's really all there is to it. And a lot of times as we get more gear, we will overcomplicate things. But guys, check this out. Like this is a webcam, first of all, that I'm here with you guys on. If I turn my light around, right, this is kind of a little bit more like you might normally see in a room when you just put your camera up. But if you know even the basics about lighting and you put a light in the right place, suddenly the picture is entirely different, right? It's one of many, many things that of course we're going to go through in our course, but also, things that you explore and kind of go about, and how do you look good and how do you sound good? It's often very, very simple things. And you master the skills first. Then when you get the equipment, you're able to put that equipment to its full potential. And I'm sure you guys, in many cases, I'm sure that there used to be a series on YouTube that was fairly popular, where people would go and they would take a professional and give them beginner equipment for whatever it is, and then take an amateur and give them professional equipment. And so it would say, professional videographer versus amateur, and the professional would have, a phone that records in 480 pixels and terrible quality, right? And they have to use the audio from the camera and that type of thing. And then they would have, a DSLR, and they would give it to someone who didn't know how to use it. Spoilers, sorry for ruining all of the hundreds of videos that are out there, but 100% of the time it's the one who's built those skills. A lot of times what we get is people will say, oh, I'm really interested in doing this, but, I just don't have $2,000 to invest in equipment. Well, you don't need $2,000. In many cases, you don't need anything more than you already have. But if you take the time to build those skills and invest in yourself, that's going to be where you go and really see those benefits. So anyway, yes, we are putting together a course. Please keep on the lookout for that. But don't wait, explore and see what you can do. And if you need any help seeing how that happens, go to my YouTube channel and go down into the first multi-tracks that I've done. They don't look like the ones I do now. And you can kind of see that growth in a lot of people.
Yeah, Marcus, you want to send me on the private chat here some links, and I'll pop them up. Because it'll be great for people to see that. So we've got a question here from Max Volk. Hi, as long as most of the multi-track is comprised of trumpets, is it okay to include some unique instruments within my submission as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
As long as
Cool.
trumpet is the main primary instrument and is showcased. If you want any more detailed questions, it's actually on the trumpetmtc.org website competition. And we have a Q&A with some of those other questions. And if you have any more that aren't answered there, feel free to email us and we'll tell you whether it's good or our opinions. We'll be happy to share.
Nice. So people, if you want to record your trumpet thing, and then if you want to get out some percussion or, do some other stuff, sounds like as long as the trumpet is that primary voice, then you're good to go. Awesome. And let's see what we got.
Yeah,
Marcus.
our primary objective this season is accessibility, getting people in, able to multi-track, which is why the short division is there too. If you want to send something that is 5 seconds in, that's great. If you want to send something that is 2 hours, Mahler, great. That works as well.
Yeah. So we've got the we've got some links here. I'm gonna put this link here as a banner. But you shared that's not it. Let's fix this. Boom. Here we go. That's where you want to go. Find out about everything. trumpetmtc.org. All right. It's going to have all the rules. It's going to have all the Q&A you said and everything. So now, Marcus, you were talking about your YouTube just a minute ago and some of your early videos versus your later ones. And this just goes to like you're saying, you give the pro any equipment. There's that classic story of Charlie Parker, playing a concert on a plastic saxophone or it was plastic or fiberglass, whatever it was, because he had pawned it off because he had some addiction issues. And there's a recording of that concert and he sounds incredible. Like, here is saxophone master giving him the cheapest, something that people would complain about instrument. Sounds amazing. Like it's the, sure, the tool helps, but you got to know what to do with it. And, that speaks to your point of like, you look at your first videos, you look at your last videos, it's doing it over and over. It's the reps. It's, making sure that you are, learning from this skill. There's a great story I heard, and I don't remember who told it, but it was about, the importance of reps, the importance of just doing things over and over again. This is why we practice our fundamentals every day. This is the reason why we, it's really difficult to cram certain things. You can't just learn certain things, all at once. And someone took 2 groups of people and, they separated them and they gave everyone like a bunch of clay and they said, okay, you have 1 hour to make like the best looking, teacup or mug or whatever it was. Like you have 1 hour to make the best looking one. That's what they told group 1. And then group 2, they said, okay, you have 1 hour to make as many of these as you possibly can. And without a question, the group that focused on doing as many as possible made the best looking ones, because group 1, they spent an hour trying to perfect something that they didn't know how to perfect. They didn't have the experience. Group 2, they made one. It sucked. They made another one. It sucked a little bit less. They made another one. Like they just kept doing it. And eventually, boom, they were starting to have success. They were starting to have something that was really excellent. And that's just, that's a great story. It's a great analogy. Like that translates to everything we do in music. Translates to how we practice, how we learn, how we write and compose, how we write arrangements, how we do this type of thing as well. You want to put yourself out there. You're going to be afraid. You're going to say, hey, well, all these people are doing this and they're so much better. Like they have all this success. Like I'm I'm not ready. It's not finished. Like, we've got a lot of doubts. And sometimes it can be scary. You don't feel like what you're going to put out there is representative of how you want it to be. And I experienced that with my YouTube videos plenty of times where it's like, okay, I did it, like, let's put it out. You can spend a lot of time perfecting it, but really it's like, okay, next, get on to the next one, get on to the next one. And you got to do the next one. Because if you just worry about, spending all of your time doing it once, you'll never finish. You'll never get there. And that's a great lesson. But I feel like that's something that doing this multi-track really teaches you, because I've done multi-tracks, and you've got to, you got to put it out there. You got to record it. You're doing takes. You're filming, like, you're getting those reps in, you're learning. And it's gonna help prepare you for a lot of the skills that that we all need in the musical landscape that we're currently in, which is not just a live medium. We are live, we are online, we are live online, we're live in person. We've got albums, we've got CDs, we've got music videos, and this is a lot of ways to reach people and a lot of ways to be creative and expressive. So I feel like this just kind of encapsulates, like, so much of, like, everything I'm passionate about and everything that I really enjoy and love. So yeah, where are we even? I'm gonna just do a quick reset here. Oh, sorry, hold on, quick reset. I'm with Brandon and Marcus. We're talking about the TMTC. Welcome everyone who's joining and watching. We hope you're enjoying this. If you've got questions, put them in the chat and we're going to answer them and get to them. All right, Brandon, what were you saying?
There's just a lot that I was resonating with you from just your conversation on. We do so much, and nowadays we are expected to be online, know more than just how to play the trumpet. I think anyone who wants to enter TMTC this time around, if you're looking to be the winner, get the prize, maybe that might not be the best goal. The reasons why me and Marcus still continue to do multi-tracks and continue to play is to help others and to continue to just either bring life to, bring joy to others, either from the music that we create, to actually help out with the composers that we collaborate with, or even just to learn how to do more of this stuff to teach you guys too. I mean, thinking back when I started, back 2017 of multi-tracking, I did it with my phone, with the audio of my phone, so I can try to see how I can better compose a trumpet ensemble piece I was composing at the time. And sadly, I kind of hate the piece now, so that's a bad side note. But either way, I've gotten better on producing new compositions for trumpet ensemble thanks to multi-tracking and being more experimental for that. And if you're also worried about, well, I'm not a multi-tracker. I'm not somebody who even wants to do things online, or I don't see myself as that for my career. Well, one, maybe just experimenting and trying out multi-tracking to see if there is a passion. And then if you're going to teach, if you're going to play trumpet, do it professionally, you will most likely teach. You can at least learn some of the skills on everything all around. I mean, lighting, miking, everything. It's something to learn, because you're going to have to be online and present yourself in a professional manner. And all this in front is going to have to be our future. It's no questions asked.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
COVID taught us that.
Every day. Yeah, that exactly. Every day, the world is becoming more online, more connected, not less. And, you got to do it. And, Marcus made a great little point earlier when he was talking about, lighting. And it's like, little things. And there's a lot. These are things you're going to learn, transferable skills, transferable knowledge that's going to help you with your online teaching, with whatever meetings you've got, all these things. And it's like, a lot of people might think, oh, I need a big expensive camera. Well, if you got a really great, beautiful, expensive camera and really, really bad lighting, it's going to look really bad. If you got an iPhone and really good lighting, it might look almost as good as what I've got. I mean, this is like a mirrorless with a fancy lens and light. It's like, this is a very pro setup that I have. But like, if my lighting wasn't dialed in, I've got a light here, I've got a light here, I've got 2 lights illuminating the background behind me, in order to kind of get the depth and the character of the room. Like, all of that, if I just put the light on the ceiling in my room and like turn these off, it would look terrible. It wouldn't look good. You'd be like, that's a $3,000 camera setup rig. Like, it doesn't look like it. It's like, well, it's the things that you got to learn and understand. And doing this is going to, going through the process is going to help. So
one quick question with that, Josh. What camera do you think I'm using today?
I like that. This is a good conversation.
That's a great question. What camera? Let me take a peek. What camera do I think you're using right now?
You have a good eye, though.
I mean, it looks good. That's I don't even know how to pick out cameras. But you're in
how
focus.
Much do you think it costs?
You're moving around. That's a good question. I know there's like so many fantastic camera options that are out there that are really only like $100 or a couple $100, like really good webcams. There's like some cool little action things. I have a GoPro actually here mounted, pointing down at my desk. It's not plugged in right now, but like it works great. I've got I don't even know. That's a good. What are you using?
This is a Logitech C920 that I got for $40.
$40. That's great. See, everyone, Brandon looks great, right? He's in focus. Everything looks cool. $40.
And like, there is one light up here, but besides that, there's nothing else. So if you know how to use your equipment, you can make it look pretty darn good. If you know,
a light placed in a good position. Yeah. Exactly. And which, by the way, all of us are experienced with obviously audio as well. So, obviously you don't hear, hopefully at least, it'll be really funny watching back if I'm wrong on this, but you don't hear any cackling. You don't hear any peaking of audio, and nobody's like super soft to the point that you can't hear them. These are all just simple, simple things that we do. And when none of us are taking a high quality studio mics with us either. I mean, what I'm looking at is microphones that are in at most the hundreds. You can get microphones obviously for thousands of dollars and put them in front of a studio and work really great. But in our particular context of creating multi-tracking, you don't need it. This microphone here was $70. So you add a $70 microphone to a $40 camera, and you've upgraded your setup massively, again, after you've already built those skills necessary to use these pieces of equipment properly. And to be clear, what I'm using is a ring light, a $15 ring light. You could also just use your own room light and place it in an area that properly illuminates your face. Lots of things like that. And if you know what you're doing, then the equipment isn't really a barrier. And I also want to reiterate to one of the things that Josh said and just make it super clear. And I'll say it this way: quality and quantity are not mutually exclusive. One begets the other. So you can have the one approach where you chase your tail and you go in circles and you're trying to make the absolute best thing you possibly can from the very beginning. It will take you forever. You're not going to get the results you're looking for, and it's going to be a very frustrating process. But if you allow yourself to be okay with putting together something just like you picked up, many of our audience are trumpet players, right? You pick up the trumpet in 6th grade, you probably didn't sound like Wynton Marsalis or Tom Hooten, right? But you had to be okay with that, right? And probably you sound better than you did when you first picked up your instrument, right? And so it's that same deal, you know, the quantity of time and effort that you put towards building the skill, and then slowly leveling up your equipment is what gets you to where you need to be, not necessarily having those high standards from the very beginning. So that's just a really important thing to remember. Oftentimes we will get overwhelmed. You know, if you compare your, you know, if you've never done multi-tracking and you compare your stuff to, you know, to Brandon's stuff, you're going to be a little bit overwhelmed. But Brandon has had a lot more experience. He's not doing this for the first time, right? So that's just something to think of as you go through this process.
Yeah. Now talking about this, I wonder if there's something that we can share from the multi-track world. I don't know how things are. I don't, you know, YouTube and live and all of their way they detect what music you're playing and this and that. But we should be cool. What's something that I can share, or
Brandon, what do you think we should share?
Or I could just post some links in the comments as well that people can then like click on them, you know, a little later and check them out. And but I think we could probably share something live here, right?
You know, maybe it would be good to do some different looking multi-tracks.
Yes.
For instance, Jessica Farmer's Ocean Eyes would be a great one because it's more of a music video style. Then we can get what everyone's used to of like people in boxes, like Matt Brockman's Hideaway from last year. Or actually, well, Cameron Milligan's too. The other one being you can do a mix of the two. The first one that's coming is sadly my own. I don't like doing that, but with Sorceress Apprentice, because it's like half mixed and half not. But
yeah,
you can make multiple different things. Thankfully,
let me see if I can pop this in here. I think I can share.
Jerome Burns.
This
he has some really cool visuals.
I can share the screen. I don't know if it's going to pull the audio from it. But this is, you were mentioning, we can just kind of talk about it a little bit. You were mentioning this is Jessica Farmer who did this Ocean Eyes, right? And yeah,
yep.
Like she's doing a music video, right?
Yes, where this is clearly outside. There is other things besides her doing trumpet, and that's perfectly acceptable too for an entry. And really, what are we doing with multi-track videos? We're making music videos, something that's supposed to be engaging for you to watch. So this is great. And clearly, if you hear the background, still a multi-track.
Yeah. I don't know how that's a setting I've never actually tried with this to be able to import the audio from my computer doing this, but I will figure that out for the next time. But you can see it's like, here's the thing. All right, you do a video like this, you record the audio ahead of time. You produce, you record the song, and this is a visual performance. Like this is a visual performance that you're intertwining with that audio performance. But that's every music video, like every music video that we love from every artist that we watch. So that this is more of like an artistic thing here, right? That's kind of let's see, how do we close that? Get out of there. But what about some ones with like trumpets everywhere?
Let's do. Oh, yep, that's a good one. Let me see if I can find where it is. I did put Jerome Burns' crazy video because he has some really cool like overlapping. That's quite amazing. And he's done multiple multi-tracks, all based on Meshuggah, right? Right, Marcus?
Yeah.
So
correct.
How do I find the link to that?
Oh, I put it in the private chat.
You put it in the chat. Okay, great, awesome, perfect.
And just looking ahead, Brandon, do we have Keaton Viavatni's first season multi-track?
Yes, because
might be worth showing that as well.
I actually got, well, we will do that, especially since we talked about it. Matt Brockman's has a great moment where he shows a bunch of videos too.
Look at this. All right, so this is some production. This is some heavy duty production there, right? I don't know. Does this can you hear that at all?
Yeah, we can hear it.
Oh, you can?
And for the sake of clarity here, Matt on season 1 was a first place winner, and season 2, this video, a second place winner. So he's gotten his way into the finals multiple times. So what you're seeing here is the work of someone who is a content creator for a living and has built quite a bit of skills through that process. So yeah, it's really impressive to see what you can do. And actually, you know what? Maybe we should take a little bit of a step back, because I know, Josh, you started this whole thing by asking us, what is multi-tracking? And then we were like, oh, well, let's pause and tell you some of the cool things that's happening about TMTC. And we never really got back to it. So we just put the brakes on a little bit while we work out the media and audio.
Yeah.
Multi-tracking is the art and the process of, as it sounds, putting together multiple tracks. It needs to be an audio track. Sometimes it's a video as well. Oftentimes it's a video as well. But it refers to the process of you recording one part, going back and recording another part, overlapping them together so that you create harmonies or melodies or counter melodies. And obviously you can put overlay as many as possible. And it's called multi-tracking because you literally put the tracks in multiple different timelines, is what you call it. If you open up a audio workstation, which is just a fancy way for saying, recording device. You can put multiple different audio pieces together in the same timeline and have them overlap each other, and then you get the harmonies. So that's what multi-tracking is all about. And obviously, when you go to video editing stations, you can edit in the exact same way. So you have the video timelines where you can overlap them, and all the videos are playing at the same time. Which could be you doing some multiple box multi-tracks, which we're going to see in a moment. But it could also be a little bit like what we did with what we saw with Jessica, where she put together a multi-track audio, and you see her just playing one trumpet at a time on the video itself. But you hear multiple different parts in her particular video. So that's what multi-tracking is. 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts consists as multi-tracking. Also 80, 90, 100. Eric Whitaker's virtual choirs back in the day, that's an example of multi-tracking. Okay. So that's what we're talking about here.
What's the most tracks that you had in a submission? Do you know?
Is it 64, Brandon?
Yes,
there
that's
might
right.
have been more.
Are we gonna mess it up again? Because remember,
season 1. Yeah. So season 1, we made a little math error. Looking at this was Keaton's submission from season 1, and he put together I want to say 8x8. And so we messed up and looked at it and thought it was 8x10. So we gave some commentary, and in our commentary we kept saying 80 different tracks. But it wasn't 80, it was 64. And he did 64 audio and video. So it was pretty impressive. We have had some of our creators not in the competition, but our creators, some of them have put together multi-collabs. If you go to Matt Brockman's channel, you'll see sometimes he'll put his largest might be 164 different parts together. Obviously, a lot of the stuff you see from Christopher Bill, in many ways, we can call him the quote-unquote original brass content creator, doing some really great stuff even to this day, and is a really great guy, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
I think you're also forgetting about Jim Nova.
Yes. Yes. So there's a lot of examples of things like that out there. But yeah, it really is, the sky is the limit to what you can do. And really, I guess your computer's ability to handle what you do is also a little bit of that limit. There are ways that you can reduce the amount of effort it takes on your computer, which, obviously there are ways to learn about that. Like we mentioned, and we'll probably mention a couple more times here, we will have the opportunity to show you some of those things in our course that's coming out soon, later this summer.
That's awesome. Hey, let me pull up another thing here while we're
Awesome.
this is Brandon, this is you. Let's see which Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Oh no,
I don't know. Here we go.
I don't like seeing.
Right? Look at this. Like, that's so cool. Creative. Look at all these layers. You're telling a story with the music and with the visual. And I feel like that's an important thing, to kind of actually, maybe mention and bring up. It's like, hey, we're musicians. Like we get it. We hear something, like we can visualize, we understand what it is. A lot of people, when they're listening to music, they don't always exactly, they may not care what really it is comprised of. But they would be really, very interested to know, like, oh, wait a minute. Hey, this is this many trumpets. This is this many different people playing all at once. Like, it's difficult to know unless you're really in it. Like, us, like, any chef are going to eat something and they're going to say, oh, this is this and this ingredients and all these. Like, you just go to a restaurant and eat something. You're like, oh, that's delicious. It's cool. But then it's like, oh, you find out how it was made, everything that was in it. And you're like, oh, then you can appreciate it in a different way. And this just allows you to appreciate music in a new way as well, which I think is fantastic.
Absolutely.
We've got, what else was this other one? Jerome, you sent one?
Yeah. So Jerome was a finalist last year, and he's made how many multi-tracks at this point? I see one almost every week. So
A lot.
He must be
Yeah,
at
he
like
made a lot.
30, all based on Meshuggah. I sorry for my ignorance. I believe like Rock Band, right?
More or less, yes.
So he's done trumpet arrangements of Meshuggah things from their most recent album, and this is what he submitted last year, and it's different storytelling, but man, it is still storytelling. So
let's hear a little bit of this.
So what he does is he has this go on, and you'll see eventually a new face. It's just him loop the same thing, but all his expressions start to get added in and get layered on top of each other. So cool. He's worked with lots of cool video effects like this. So I think if you skip into the middle, you can see him like eventually like start to like crush his own head. Yeah. Yep. That's how I feel in the practice room sometimes. So.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like you're practicing. Yeah. So this, what this really shows is like, hey, there's a lot of different ways that this can look. It's not any just one specific way. It doesn't just have to look like, a box of people, right? You can really kind of be creative and take it any direction you want. Basically, it sounds like, this is like, really very cool because it just invites so much creativity. So we talked about that, what it is, how, why you need to, any difficulties. We were going to talk about composition and then also a career. I feel like let's jump to the career stuff and then we can hit up composition. Is that all right?
Let's do it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, that's this just makes me want to multi-track now. I'm like, oh yeah, I still have to finish my, I did one multi-track that like I did one movement and then I did a second movement and I haven't finished the third movement. Just because it's like, maybe I'll finish the third movement for a submission, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been done. You guys saw I did that Bach Vivaldi thing, right?
Yeah, and the first two movements look great.
And people who are, if you're watching, you've probably seen it on my channel. It's like let me pop it up for a second. It's like it's a fun little thing. I never submitted this. Maybe I should have, but it's
the one thing I can shout you out with, Josh, is you have a very, very, very good eye for just visual, and the visuals here are so sharp and so clean. It's amazing.
Yeah. Well, you got the backdrop, the lighting behind me. And I was like, okay, there's 5 of me in this. So, 4 plus the soloist. It's like, all right, we get all 4, and then boom, there we go, soloist. Right.
And just for everybody, doing something like this and making it look this good, it's not the equipment, it is the knowledge. And it's fantastic. So
Yeah, and this was, it was fun. I mean, like, and for me, like, all right, you can see, like, I recorded it. I knew this piece very, very well. I practically had it all memorized because, I spent time learning it and recording each piece. But that's why it's like, I'm looking at the camera. I wanted that to be purposeful. Like that. I was looking at the camera, and that's a challenge. I had the camera here. I did have the sheet music actually like taped immediately below the lens, just so like it was memorized, but it was like I could just really quickly like glance reference without it like distracting that like I was looking over here or over there. But it was like, okay, this is how I can do a video like that. So I did movement 1, movement 2. I got to do movement 3. Maybe I'll do movement 3 and then just like, can I submit the whole thing even though those other 2 are old?
Yeah, this year you can.
Like, but then I should do something else that's more exciting. Like even
you can have unlimited submissions too.
Unlimited submissions
is the name of the game.
If you're not sure, which would be the best thing? Yeah, both of them. Why not?
All right, yeah. So we've been going. We're going to talk about career stuff here in a second. We've been going for an hour. This is great. We've got Marcus Grant. We've got Brandon Dix, and we're talking about the TMTC, the Trumpeters Multi-Track Competition, which is entering its 3rd season. We're all excited. A lot of people have entered in the past. This year is all new, lower and easier, submission in order to enter, and then fantastic prizes. Really, like you can't say enough about the Barkley ribbon microphone plus $1,000. Come on, that's nuts. I feel like that's selling a lot of people. You should do it because this is why. Because these are skills that we all need. These are skills moving forward that are important and essential in the trumpet world. And that's what we're getting into right now, talking about making a career as a professional musician post-pandemic. The world came out the other end. The world is different than it was. And it's not going back. We're in a new landscape. People are connected to digitally in new ways. Online learning and teaching is not like a, does it work? It's well established. People do it. It's a way to interact. It's a way to communicate. And all of these are facets. They're all parts in it. Like, and if you really want to be working as a freelance, or if you're a composer, if you're doing stuff, even if you're playing in orchestras, and like you gotta have all these skills to be able to do recording, to do media, social media, understanding how to connect with people, connections. And I'm gonna pop this question up here real quick. How was the ITG conference? So we talked about it at the very beginning a little bit. I went this year.
Tell us. I wasn't able to make it.
You guys in. I think I need to do an ITG live stream. I did one a few weeks ago, or a month ago, hey, ITG's coming up. This is why you should go. I think I need to do a recap because I got it was just incredible. So many great hangs, so many people are there, and so many just astonishing concerts, just unbelievable. And I got, of course, a lot of gear. I got a lot of mutes. Came up with a lot of mutes.
That sounds about right.
I came up with the most beautiful trumpet stand that exists. I'm going to do a video on it. Let me grab it just because it's nuts. I haven't even put my trumpets on it yet.
Did you get any new mutes for Mute Monday?
Yes, a bunch. I got a bunch. But look at this. Look at this trumpet stand.
Nice.
Chris Legault of TrumpCore makes these. This is walnut. This is beautiful. It's incredible. It's heavy duty. It's going to hold all my trumpets beautifully. There's just so many cool things there. And I was just like, what? This is amazing. So besides all the gear, besides all the great trumpets that I played, all the great equipment that I checked out, some really interesting, gear, mouthpieces, horns, a lot of mutes, so many friends, and so many connections. And like this is what it's about. And I feel like, same thing with these types of competitions. You're going to enter something like this, you're going to meet a lot of people. You're all in the same thing. You're going to be working towards the same goal, and you're going to be connected with new people, and that is going to just kind of benefit you down the road in your career. And that's a big thing, your network, understanding who everyone is and building those connections so that you can do stuff like this, so that you can collaborate with people on projects. And let's hear we had some bullet points, some talking points that we were going to talk about working and making money as a professional, and how social media influences careers, and basically just knowing about recording, like as we've just discussing. Love to hear your takes on this.
Sure, I'll be happy to start off a little bit because it's been on my mind as a new faculty member of Northern Arizona University, and the fact that I've had to push back multi-tracking a little bit, just because, well, when you're teaching a total of 30 to 40 kids a week, you don't get that much time. But does that mean everything that I'm doing, like I'm done multi-track, I'm just a teacher? No, the way that a music career works is actually very similar to every other career. You do a job, and then you're going to do another job maybe the next week, or maybe you do this for a full period of time, and you do something else. For me, for the summer, I don't have those 40 kids. I have like a much more manageable, like 10 to 15. It's a lot better. But now I'm focusing on TMTC, my other job, Rhode Island Recording Ensemble, getting that all worked up for our recording session 2 weeks. It's busy times, but it's something different. And if you want to do multi-tracking, of course, if you're interested and curious about it, and is this the right time? We moved it to the summer, by the way, the competition, so more people at least had a little bit more accessibility to enter too, compared to winter break and craziness of semesters and all that. Well, if you don't have any free time, you don't have anything that you're really doing, then this is a perfect time to maybe just experiment. Maybe have your phone lying around, try to build up some multi-tracking to see whether or not you're interested and or wanting to continue this forward. Basically, the way that you make a career is you put yourself out there. Me and Marcus, both of us are composers too, and it's very hard to put anything that you create out to an audience. But the more you do, not necessarily that you get so much better, like you do because of the repetition, but you more so figure out how you actually can make this tangible for somebody else to either. I'm looking at the Sources Apprentice. That was done for our call for scores to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, to help people who are being marginalized get their recordings recorded for new music. That one was Steffi Tesloff's arrangement. So we want to promote other people and do so with the skills that we have, and that's ultimately how you create a career, helping others with the skills that you have obtained as a musician. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout outs to Steffi. Great arranger, great player. It was a really cool arrangement there, and I'm glad that Brandon did what he did to put that arrangement to justice. It was a really cool opportunity to have that series, the Call for Scores. One of the things I want to add, and I have this discussion a lot because when we talk about the realm of social media as a whole, and when you use multi-tracking, your avenue is often almost always social media. the really great and amazing thing that has happened with this post-pandemic proliferation, and all of the things, all of the challenges that we had to deal with, it forced us to learn how to better make use of the resources we have online to continue to move forward in some way, shape, or form with our respective careers. And now that a lot of us have been able to build up those skills, we are starting to see, most of us who weren't out there but previously are starting to see some of the things that maybe, for example, David or Brandon or I or Chris Bill or others who have been out there for a while have already realized, which is when you put something out on social media, it's up there, right? Now, there's only one of you. And when you trade time for money, there's only so many hours in the day that you can devote to it. So Brandon mentioned that he teaches anywhere from 30 to 40 students. That's a lot of students. He's probably exhausted, depending on the day, if he's crammed a bunch of students into one day, or if he's put a large amount of students over multiple consecutive days, because he has to be there and he has to be present. And he does that because it's his career and he loves it. And that's the reason I do it as well. That's the reason that anyone teaches. It's not to make money. It's for the passion. It's because we love to do that. But every hour that you spend teaching, you're not spending it doing anything else. We can circumnavigate that through the art of putting things up on social media, because when you put a video up there, then you're discoverable. You're able to build a network and base, even when you're not physically present there. So right now, during this interview, Josh, Brandon, and I are all getting views on our respective YouTube channels from things that we posted in the past, particularly things that we posted years ago. There could potentially be someone who lives across the country or across on the other side of the world even, who is taking a look at something that we see and decides that they want to one day in the future buy our music, or they want to sign up for a course, or they want to do a collaboration with us of some sort. And it may or may not have been possible without being able to put our stuff out on the internet, out there, and to show to people. It's really, really easy these days to be able to show up and be prolific when we use social media, because it allows us to essentially be in more places at once. So when we go through the realm of diversifying your career and being able to showcase all that you're capable of doing, yes, you can be an active teacher and pedagogue and go out and work with students, especially if that's your passion. I personally think it's one of the greatest things in the world. But doing that doesn't stop me from continually getting that exposure as a performer and composer and arranger by putting my stuff out there as a content creator. So I think it's really great and important asset to just make sure that we are taking advantage of as we continue to head into this age. Like Josh was saying, the things that we have learned, the skills that we've built, particularly through the use of media, et cetera, and the way the world has changed, it's not going to change back. We're not going backwards. We're going to continue to move forward. And so the skills that we have at our disposal are going to be for our great benefit. Or if you resist and choose not to use those skills, then, maybe everyone else uses those skills and brushes past you. It's very similar to my former teacher, Joey Tartell, says this all of the time. When you practice the trumpet, you're either, you're getting better. And if you're not practicing, you're getting worse. You are not staying the same. And one of those reasons is because, you don't use it and you lose it, right? If you don't build those muscles and continue to strengthen those muscles get weak because they're not utilized. But the other thing is everyone else around you in the environment is using those skills and building and developing and moving forward. And it would be the same as if, nobody was moving anywhere except you were actively moving backwards, right? So it's really important to really take advantage of these skills. But if not for the aspect of not wanting to fall behind, just being able to explore and move forward and see all the things that are possible as a result of using these things at our disposal. And the world will continue to progress. We'll get better quality cameras, we'll get better lights, we'll get better audio. We'll have other avenues that will make it even easier and more enjoyable for us to showcase our love and skill as musicians or whatever you're doing for a career. And the things we're doing now will be stepping stones to what we have for the future. So today's the day to make those explorations.
Yeah. And let me just add a couple things. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Brandon, man, 40 students. Like, Marcus, you're like, oh, he may be exhausted. Like, he's exhausted. I had 40 students at one point in time. I remember I was exhausted. That's rough. But man, when you're passionate about teaching, when you love teaching, like, you do it because you want your students to succeed. And you know, it's a great feeling when you see them succeed. But it made me think, like, this is like such a great thing as well for teachers. It's like, hey, like, this is a skill. You do this type of multi-track thing, you learn how to do it. It's like, well, you could take your personal trumpet studio to that next level then. If you want to, you could write an arrangement and you'd be like, hey, we're going to do a multi-track, a studio multi-track. Like, get them involved, make it a thing, right? A lot of teachers, they do a recital. You got private teachers, your teacher organizes a recital for you somewhere. They rent out a church, or they find a space, depending, whether you're affiliated with a specific school or university, whatever it is. Like, that's great and that's essential, but that's also old school. Like, new school is, all right, let's put together a studio video. Well, who knows how to do that, right? You want to be able to raise your hand. Like, you want to be in that position. You want to be able to have those skills, and that's just part of it moving forward. And as I mentioned, the world's becoming more connected, more digital, and these are the experiences that we're going to see. Anyone that was watching the big Apple event this last week, I was so excited, right? They're talking about the new the VR headset. What are they calling it?
I think the Pro Vision is
the Pro Vision. Yeah. I've been like so excited and talking about that for years. Like, ever since I got to try my first like headset thing, because for me, when I see that, I see opportunity as musicians as a way to connect with our audience in new and better ways. And I sure hope that orchestras out there are paying attention, that bands and musical ensembles are paying attention and saying, hey, how can we create a brand new experience for our listener? All right. I've got a 360 cam. I've used it in the past, and I think one video, maybe two on my YouTube channel. It allows you to do 360 videos that I put up there, and they're fun. My gripe with them in the past is that, like, the ones I have were, older, and they didn't have, the greatest resolution. So it looks a little grainy, which it's really tough in musical settings because very often our lighting is pretty dim, especially like I'm playing a lot of jazz gigs. But, thinking about media, thinking about online, like, you can go and watch live broadcasts of, the Metropolitan Opera. They do that already in movie theaters. There are, other streaming services that different orchestras across the world are using. And they're going to start incorporating this new technology in it faster than people can realize. And I don't think it's going to be that long until you're going to be able to put on your Vision Pro headset and pull up, the Chicago Symphony or whomever it is, whoever decides to be first, and say, hey, we're going to do live 360 broadcasts, and we're going to stick microphones, one right in front of the conductor. We're going to put one in the percussion, one in the brass, one in the strings, different parts of the hall. And you get to just pick where you want to sit, and you can look around and you can hear it. And there's going to be microphones everywhere, and it's going to change when you move around. And that will increase access to music and allow people to experience it in ways that they wouldn't otherwise be able to. You may have some type of disability or chronic health issue that precludes you from going out. You may not have money to buy a ticket. You may live 1,000 miles away. Like, there's so many reasons, that you couldn't attend. And they're not going to let anyone stand up on stage in front of the conductor while while they're playing. But, like, that's the future of technology. I know that's coming. And that's, we can look forward, but you got to look at, like, hey, what are we doing right now? And this is what we're addressing, is like right now. But it's like, if you sleep on what's going on right now, like, you're going to be so far behind once the once the next iteration comes up, and once people start talking about the ramifications of how we can experience and interact with music
and
through technology.
I got a good point to add to that, because when we think about multi-tracking in general, we think of it as this is a new revolutionary trend, and in reality, it's kind of not, in terms of recording. it's been around for quite some time. I believe I'm not the best historian, but 1960s, when they were really starting to actually build everything up for recording multiple tracks. It's been here for a while. The difference between then and now is how accessible it is to get your hands on this equipment and how easy it is to create something of great quality compared to back then now. That's what we're talking about, and the big differences between then and present. Because
Yeah.
I mean, all this setup, everything I have, I mean, grand scheme, I would think just to do this live stream probably costs like $300, but $300, and really all of it's just this mic. And I could go cheaper if I wanted to. I could go, and it probably would be similar quality. This is just fine. Really, it is so cheap to do what we want to do and to make something that is actually entertaining, that we can really push the boundaries on what musically we can present to our audience. And that is very exciting. More people than ever can come into the social media space, and present what they have to say. And that is super encouraging. One of the reasons why we did the competition too, and why we're putting down lots of barriers. We want people to join this community. Everybody, not just people who have the nice equipment. So
everyone could participate. So how many people are you hoping are gonna enter?
All the people, 50,000. And I say that half jokingly because one of the things is, I mean, Brandon mentioned this before, we are looking to, and one of the things that inspired us to do this is that our previous competitors, like we said, they have been able to progress to such a high point and level of quality that, you know, if you're doing this for the first time, you might feel a little bit intimidated. But, you know, everyone starts somewhere, right? And so the lowering of the entrance fees, the allowance of having short form content, so you can put together a 20-second video or a 10-second video rather than having to put together a 10-minute video. And all of these elements are kind of just, we've put them out there to make this more accessible like it was in season 1, and in many ways even more so than it was in season 1. So we're hoping to be able to cast the wide net to anyone who has the interest. Hopefully you are fearless enough to be able to try that. And one of the things maybe we should perhaps mention, Brandon, in one of our recent conversations is, you know, how one of the really big goals that we have as an organization is not necessarily to, you know, to showcase just the top, but to showcase everyone. And we're looking in season 3 to put together ways that we can continue to make sure that we're showcasing everyone, and not just necessarily those who make it only into finals or get in the top 3 spots. One of the things we haven't mentioned as well, every single season, we bring on world-class experienced judges on. So, I mean, we're talking people like, you know, like Rex Richardson. We're talking people like Joey Tartell. We're talking people like Louis Dowdeswell. We're talking, you know, people who have been out in the space as established members of the trumpet community. And so whenever you submit something, you're going to get feedback from those world-class artists and musicians in a way that you may not necessarily ever get, you know, in other instances. I mean, it's a really great opportunity to be able to plug yourself into the music world without maybe, for example, having to drop a couple $1,000s to go to, you know, to hop on a plane and get a place to stay for a week or a month or go to an event. If you can do that, absolutely, you should be doing those things as well, because they're lifelong experiences, but you also have the opportunity to have the life-changing and lifelong experiences from the comfort of your bedroom, which is one of the really great benefits of doing this multi-tracking thing.
Yeah, because
so to answer your question, literally, like everyone.
Yeah,
and the misconception that you need a lot of money to multi-track a CD. Getting a recording engineer to come do a full CD for you would be, Marcus, you would say $5,000 at least? Even high, yeah.
It's
I was being
more
kind.
like 10 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in our current economy, kind of even pushing higher than that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we don't want to talk about finances and inflation, but it's been painful the past few years. But yeah, you at least 10 grand. That's like a low budget. Yeah.
I've released 4 albums, and my second one that I released, let's say, it was like 11 years ago. It's a while ago now. Ooh, I don't even know if I'm like how much because like you got to record it. I mean, there's so much to it. You know,
Yeah.
you got the packaging, the design, the photographers. You do a radio, campaign, the whole thing. I can tell you that 11 years ago for my album Into the Night, which did very well, it charted in the top 10 on the Jazz Week chart. I spent over $15,000 on that. I spent a lot
I
of
believe
money
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
and we recorded it pretty quickly, like in 1.5 days. We were all in the same room live. It was like all originals. But I used a great team, great producer, great mics. I did everything the best that I possibly could. And if you're going to do that, you got to pay up. Sure, you can do it cheaper, 100%. The first one I did was maybe $5K. It's like for everything, but like, you got to pay your musicians well. You got to do the whole thing. It is so expensive. But this is just time. Like this is developing the skill. This is time. Me doing the that Bach Vivaldi thing that I shared. It's like I recorded it myself. One of my buddies, I sent it to him. He did like a little mixing, and then on the second movement, I sent it to an engineer. I think he gave him like $50 or something to, kind of mix it, and dial it in, just because like, I wanted it to sound a certain way, and I didn't want to deal with all that stuff. I was like, okay, outsource. But it's like I could have done it. It just would have taken me more time. Good. It's like for me, I know what skills and things I want to do, and what things I like don't specifically want to do. But yeah.
And now I'm not going to give a release date, but I'm working on releasing an album, full multi-track album myself, which will be just paid with all the equipment, nothing else besides just the releasing fee. And my brass trio did release one of my compositions as an EP, which cost us $500. And that was literally just having having a recording engineer listen to it and some gift cards for producers. And quality is probably very different from your album, Josh, but for a composer, it was probably the best recording I still got. So
yeah. I mean, what we can do now with what we have, we all know it's like this has got more power than, I mean, the TI-83 calculators like has more computing power than the shuttle that they took to the moon, which is nuts, because this is like more computing power than existed on Earth just a couple decades ago. It's like add up every computer that existed, like your phone is more powerful than that. It's totally nuts. So it's pretty awesome. That's just what I love about this with the TMTC, and like you guys saw, here's a need, like here's something that like some people are doing, but no one really said, hey, here's how to do it, here's how you do it, here's the best way. Oh, by the way, this is a fun, cool competition that you can enter, and you're going to win prizes too. It's like it's kind of just a win-win to me for everyone. So it's really awesome that you guys have created and put this together. You mentioned we've been going for a while now, an hour and a half. This is amazing. Thank you. We got people watching still. Thanks for tuning in. If you've got questions for me or for Marcus or for Brandon, ask away. We're going to answer them. But we were going to talk about composition. We were going to talk about composition a little bit, kind of before we we wrap things up. So this is important because to me, so this is my take. All right. To me, I'm thinking about multi-tracking. It's like, okay, where do I even begin? Like, what do I play? What piece do I pick? Like, how do I find an arrangement? How do I find this? And then it's like there's a whole nother thing. It's like, well, you're both composers. You know, you're both arrangers. I compose. I don't really arrange too much I arrange for horn section. You know, I do like jazz arranging, but it's like I haven't done like a big trumpet ensemble thing. I've started, but I've never finished any. I mean, there's so much incredible music out there. Where do you guys go looking, and how do you fit in that process? And then also just like, what are you working on with your music, and how is some of it influenced with this, and how is it, you know, influenced in other ways? I know, Brandon, you just mentioned you've got a solo multi-track trumpet album coming out soon. So obviously there's a lot of overlap here, but I'd love to hear from both of you on all that.
Why don't you start, Marcus?
Okay. Yeah. I love composing. Composing's a ton of fun. Arranging is a ton of fun as well. I love to look through the career side of things as kind of a step-by-step process. So, you know, there's a business minded side to me when I put together projects. You know, I will initially say, I'll look at whatever the end goal is, if I have an idea of what I want the end goal to be. But after that initial point, then the next step is, well, where is the next literal staircase, right? I'm not trying to jump up a skyscraper. I'm just trying to go up one step, and then up one more step, and then up one more step. And eventually I'm at the top of the skyscraper. So we're talking about specifically from a multi-tracking, though, that way, that's where we start, right? Is where do you find the music? If the music doesn't fit your needs or desires, then how do you go about the process of creating the piece, right? What I find is as passionate musicians, the music is just all around us. It's really great to be deliberate about the type of people that you follow on social media and the type of music that you listen to, and ask yourself, could you see yourself doing it someday, whether it's for trumpet or not? We can give Jessica a shout out again. Jessica did a Billie Eilish cover, right? Not originally for trumpet, obviously, right? But she thought, oh, this would sound cool with trumpet, and if we did X, Y, Z and made it sound this way, right? So that's kind of where you start. And then from there, it's just an explorational journey. You get to learn and teach yourself and go, well, let me try this. How does this sound? Oh, I don't really like this. Let me try this. Wow, that's really cool. What if I added it to this? What if I extended it this way? Okay, what if I repeated that, but the second time I did it, I took this approach, right? And you go through that process. That's how you build and grow and develop as a human being, but also as a composer and arranger. And that's how you keep it fun and not intimidating, is you go through it like that journey. You know, I kind of feel like a kid in a candy shop when I'm writing music, and when I'm, you know, mixing audio, and when I'm editing video. Many for those reasons is that, you know, every time I do it, it's an experimentation of some sort. I try to make my lighting slightly different. I do something different with color correction, etc. You know, it's something different every time. But when I write music, that's where it comes from. You know, is to say, okay, what's the coolest and most fun way to do this? And then we go about doing it. And then, can I play it? Hopefully I can. If I can't play it, then I guess that's going to be my inspiration to become a better trumpet player. And that's happened a few times. There have been a couple of things that I've put together. So, you know, going through that process, you know, I just kind of wanted to give a really large overview. I know sometimes when we talk about the different aspects of multi-tracking, it can be intimidating, but we're not thinking about, well, how am I going to be able to do all of this? No, we're thinking about, oh, I want a piece of music, you know, here's the process of going about that. Well, the first note is a C. Okay, awesome. The second note's a B flat. Okay, great. The third note's an F, right? And then you go through that process. And like I said, the experimentation is how you learn. Now, I did not major in composition in college, so everything that I did was via passion and experience, etc. And of course, it's part of what I do as a professional musician now. And one of the things that I think that makes me, you know, a little bit easier at doing is making things accessible for performers, because I am a performer and teacher first. And whenever I write music, I'm thinking about, how a performer and or teacher would do this with a student, or put it in a recital. And so not just is it doable, but are they actually going to like it? Is it going to be fun to play this piece? And will it be fun for an audience to listen to a piece? And if it's not, then ultimately I go back and try to do something that would be fun, and it might be difficult, it might be easy. Who really cares? As long as it's fun and it's accessible. And that's really, at the end of the day, what we're kind of looking for. Josh, would you like for me or Brandon to go into some of the more nitty gritty process of composing?
Well,
we're happy to do that.
There's a lot there that I love. Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't study composition at all. I had to take like a 1 semester class on jazz arranging, but I studied music theory and oral skills and history, and you play the music, and that's how I got into doing a lot of arranging and my own composition. And it's funny, actually, like the first jazz album I did, it was all originals. And the reason was because I didn't have a lot of money, and paying Harry Fox, paying for the licenses for songs was going to add a lot of money to the album. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going to be a composer now. It was just like, I made the decision. It's like, well, I want to get myself out there. It was a conscious decision. I want to put myself out there. I want to do this thing with music. I love freelancing. I love playing different styles, and I wanted to, have something that I could share. And it's one of those stepping stones. And so I started looking into it. I'm like, okay, well, I can pay for the studio. It's going to cost this much. I know it's going to cost this much. And then I'm like, oh, like I have to pay X amount, like, for licensing. And I was like, well, what if I just write it? What if I just come up with some songs? So that's what I did. And it was like, okay, cool. I did a good job. It's like, is it the best? Like, now I look back and I'm like, oh, cool. And then I wrote more music, and that was my second jazz album. Then I wrote even more. I've got a jazz album in the can. It's all originals. It's like, hasn't been, it's just been kind of stuck there in post-production purgatory. It hasn't been mixed at all, but it's there. And, that was how I got into it. It's like, a lot of people, it's like, you don't need to have gotten a degree in arranging. You don't have to get a degree in composition. Jim Stevenson, fantastic composer, incredible. He's a trumpeter. He was a trumpeter. He's a trumpeter. He's always a trumpeter. We're a community. But like, he just decided one day, he's like, hey, I want to be a composer. Like, I'm gonna get into this, right? And he's written incredible works, and that's what it is. That's how you get into it. And yeah, so just kind of, sharing some of that. And to your point, I really love, actually, it just made me think about like where we are in music, and having that discussion and conversation about what music is and how people connect and what the purpose of music is, right? Like, is it for us to write and create and put out there, regardless of how it's interpreted or how people feel and experience it? Or is it a form of communication? That's what I believe. Like, we're communicating, we're interacting with each other. The music predates all written anything. It predates language, in my opinion. Music is sounds. We captured it and heard it from nature with birds and animals, and it's been part of ritual and ceremony and community for millennia and millennia, in all over the world, in every continent. There are cultures, you go back far enough, it's like there's music that are central to the experiences of culture and religion. And like, that's where the roots of the tree, like, they go really deep and they go really far, and they expand and they expand. And I feel like that's, I want to capture that essence still with the music that I do and with the playing that I do. I want to invite people in. I want to have this communication and dialogue with people. And when you're forced to do a a multimedia, when you're doing a multimedia presentation, you're forced to address that. It makes you say, oh, wait a minute, how am I presenting this? How is this going to be received? Like, you have to consider all of the implications of it. And it's not on an academic level. This is on a a level you're creating. You want people to watch it. You're spending all this time creating it and filming it and recording. It's like, so it makes you aware of those things. And in my opinion, it actually puts you in a really terrific, kind of a frame of mind for creating music and for inviting people in. You invite people in. There's a lot of music that's out there that it's like people are pushing it on you. They're playing it at you, like they're trying to push you into accepting it versus inviting you in. And when you invite people inward, with what you're creating, with how you're playing and expressing and everything from the piece itself to the arrangement to the production, it's like, then you build the connections, then you start really impacting people, and that's where we see like so many of the performers that we all love and admire. A lot of them do that instinctually, but some of them don't, and some of them that was cultivated, and it was like something that they were very, very aware of. But there's very few performers that are successful that haven't considered that. There's very few people out there that are successful that have a real career that are like, actively against that. And it doesn't mean you're marketing or a sellout or this or whatever the hell. What it means is like you're trying to reach people. You're trying to have a conversation versus a one-sided lecture. So that that just kind of made me think about all that.
So you made me think of my past, Josh, and how I started with composition. I'll get to that in 1 second, because maybe going with bullet points of, if you want to get started with composition or with multi-tracking, two things. If you like something and you want it to be represented, if you really like, I see Jacob Collier Hideaway, which is an awesome piece, great multi-track itself, actually. If you want to do that for trumpet and you're like, that's so cool that I want to make a multi-track, go for it. Everything that we can think of is, I did Legend of Zelda because I love the melody. I did a Super Smash Bros. Medley because I played the games way too much in college. But how I started with composition was it's either 11 or 12 years old. So I did play in band. I actually had a high schooler come in and present a piece that he wrote, and we took that piece to a festival. So that's how I figured out, oh, I can actually compose myself too. But where it became an actual need for me was when I was making my own videos. Because when I was younger, I'm still obsessed with roller coasters, but I was very obsessed when I was younger. To the point where I would play Roller Coaster Tycoon. I would make my own content of roller coasters and put them up on YouTube when it was fresh and young. So I couldn't use any other music actually for it. So I had Finale, and I wrote music for those roller coaster videos, Roller Coaster Tycoon. And well, I liked it, and I realized that's something I could do. And I kept writing and writing. And pretty soon it became just part of my identity, to a point where now I don't get as much of that urge to, oh, I have to write this piece. I get ideas, but it's when somebody approaches me, it's like, hey, I really want to, I want to write something. I want you to write something for me. And I get even more invested, not because of just the idea itself, but the fact that somebody likes at least what I do and wants to say their own message. And I want to find a way to put my music with the message that they have, and something that we obviously connect with. It's not just like they want to state something and I'm not necessarily for it, but if it's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense, I want to promote what you're saying, and maybe we can do it in a new creative idea. That's how I'm doing it now. And in the past, it was just, oh, this is a cool piece, let me do one. I'm thinking of a piece called Awakening the Phoenix, when I wrote when I was in 8th grade. And literally, it was just a cool piece, kind of inspired by movie music, and making something like a journey of a phoenix rising, which I thought was cool. And that created a piece. So really, all in all, if you are absolutely just have an idea or are interested at all, the first thing to do is think of that idea and start. As in, think about what you need to get started. If that's a notation program, great. If that is getting your first digital audio workstation, go ahead and do that. Find a free one and just test it out. Experimentation is the way that you get into the mediums. So,
And speaking of that, like for all the videos, for everything that I've done, up through now, still, the DAW, the digital audio workstation that I use Cakewalk. It's free. It's freemium. It's like, or not free. It doesn't cost any money. It's fantastic. It works great. For music notation, I use MuseScore. It's free. It's open source. I've been hired as an arranger on so many projects, and I deliver beautiful looking scores and lead sheets. It's like you can do it all. There's great free tools out there that everyone can use. Yeah, I should do a session on MuseScore and Cakewalk and some of these other like free tools that are out there one day, just because like a lot of people think they're like, oh man, I need to get Pro Tools, it's so expensive. Oh, like I need to get Finale or Sibelius. Like, oh, like who can afford all these things? It's like, I'm not using them. And I get hired as a professional, in order to do those things. So it's like, they're powerful tools. A lot of people, you can use GarageBand. A lot of people use GarageBand for recording. So like, great great tools out there that just make it even more accessible for everyone. So it's like, if you got, and I think that's a great thing about I would assume, like, you guys with the competition, it's like you got this great community and you got great people that are able to share ideas. And of course, you guys are the experts. You've got all that knowledge already. So if people come in and they say, hey, I'm having difficulty with this, or hey, can you give some suggestions on what I can use? Boom. Like, the info's there. You just got to ask.
I think this is a good time, Marcus, to share our Discord, because we
Oh,
do
yeah,
have a
sure.
Discord, and we do have open communication available for anyone who wants to share their multi-tracks as well as troubleshoot anything that they have there. So
You want to send that link and I'll share it. And of course, you can look in the description of today's video and you will find the links to the TMTC website and some of their social media links. And of course, we've been talking about season 3, which is now open. They are accepting submissions worldwide. Anyone can enter, and go to trumpetmtc.org and you're going to find out everything you need to know. And I got to figure out my schedule and everything, but maybe I got to enter this year. Maybe that'll be a thing, right? Of course, like if me entering, then if I have to do some ridiculous video with like 50 mutes in it or something just outrageous. I think that would just kind of be funny.
I will say that mutes have been massively underutilized in the trumpet world as a whole, but especially as multi-track. So
I agree
do
with
it.
you. More mutes, the better, right? But
just don't use your Harman mute with a Barkley microphone.
Don't use it with a Barkley microphone.
or at least don't face it directly. Yeah.
Oh, don't get too close.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime
Right.
you're using a ribbon microphone, you got to be careful. They're very delicate, and you gotta have a little foam on it. You should have a little pop filter. You don't want to get too close because that little of air hitting it can actually deform or even break the little, it's a little aluminum ribbon. It's unbelievably thin. That's just held in there, and it vibrates just so gently with the slightest sound wave, and that's what gives it, such an incredible ability to pick up brass and to pick up music so well, because you're just capturing the sound waves in a very pure acoustic way.
And that's not promoted in a lot of places. So a lot of people don't know that, sadly. So
yeah,
things
like
you will
even if
learn
you've
in our
got,
course.
if you've got a ribbon microphone and like you're moving it like around, like if it's on a stand and you're moving it from like one place to another, you actually want to put like a plastic bag over it, so that when you're moving it and walking with it, that the air of you just moving around, that can damage ribbon microphones. It's really, they're delicate, but you get the best sound. So we've got the Discord thing here. Let's see if I can put it on here. That's it, right?
Mhm.
This is where people should go. Let's see how I can even edit that even more. Look at this. Boom. There we go. Now everyone can see it. Should have just had it the whole time. This is the Discord. Screen grab that. Open up your app. Go there. You can join them. You can ask questions. You can find out about it. I've checked it out. I've been on there before, so that's the way to stay up to date with everything that's happening, right? So what are we leaving with? We've done it. We've done an hour 52 minutes now coming up. This has been great. Thank you both so much. I just got to a big shout out and thank you to Brandon and Marcus for both of you for being here and sharing and talking about the TMTC, which is now in its third season and is fantastic and covered a lot. We talked about trumpet. We talked about music. We had a little chat on the ITG. We talked about everything you can look forward to in the competition, as well as reasons why people should be interested, why people should consider entering, even if they didn't necessarily think that it was something for them. These are going to be skills you're going to use in your future. We talked about career a little bit. We talked about composition and music. What did we leave out? What kind of coffee do you both drink? I haven't asked you that.
Marcus, I don't think you drink coffee, right?
I don't drink coffee.
You don't drink coffee?
I'm an avid hot chocolate drinker.
Okay, well, hot
It's
chocolate.
one of my favorite drinks in the world.
Who can complain about hot chocolate?
I go to Starbucks all the time, and all the time I get hot chocolate.
What about a mocha? What about a mocha?
No.
Okay, you just don't do the coffee thing.
No.
That's fine. It's more
really. I mean, it hasn't been a thing all my life. I've just, yeah. Why?
Brandon,
get rid of what I know I like,
Yeah. No compromise. Exactly.
Yeah.
What's in that mug? Is it just water?
Nope, it's coffee. It's
coffee
with some oat milk. It's simple. Trader Joe's coffee, because that's where we shop. So
see, I love the coffee. It's an integral part of my daily morning routine and my trumpet warm up. I will say, actually, I always have a cup of coffee while I'm warming up and playing the horn, and it just makes me feel like comforted and get some of that natural vibrato going. You have a couple extra too many cups and you're just a little doing the thing.
I will also say I'm a very stubborn control freak when it comes to my day-to-day things. So anything that I've seen someone build a dependence on, I'm like, nope, not for me. Bye.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that too.
Well,
I just enjoy the taste at this point.
Yes.
So.
See, I drink coffee black. My screen went. I drink coffee black. I make it in the morning. I grind it. I use my Chemex, everything's weighed out on the scale. You know, I do the whole process, and I really search out for like the highest quality, best, you know, most interesting tasting coffee beans, and that's like my morning routine. So I go primarily like for the flavor and enjoyment of it. Sure, like there's a caffeine aspect like this. It's like wake up, whatever, but it's like I feel like even if coffee had no caffeine in it, if it didn't do any of that, I would probably still be making a cup every morning just because it's like it's warm, you know, it's like it's hot, you know, it's like it tastes to me, it tastes great, you know, it's like a flavor thing. So, but I'm the same with drinking though. Also, like I don't, my goal with drinking is not ever like to get drunk. It's like, oh, this is a tasty wine, like I enjoy this, or oh, this is a tasty, you know, what have you. So like that's always kind of been my approach with things. It's like, oh, I enjoy it, like let's see what it's about.
I'm a little too busy, so because things kind of just fly throughout the day, I only put oat milk in just to cool it down so I don't have to burn my tongue or anything. So
you can drink it faster.
Pretty much. So
yeah, get into it. So here's a tip for any, oh, sorry, go on.
Go for it.
I was just going to give a tip for any coffee, and even Marcus, even for you, this is a good tip. Hot chocolate, right? It's getting ever get cold on you?
Yeah.
Get colder faster than you wanted it to?
Yeah.
You like it to be hot?
Yeah.
Use a real mug?
Yeah.
So when you're making your hot chocolate, you're heating up your water, heat up extra water. As soon as it boils, fill up your mug to the top just with hot water. Let it sit for about 1 minute. Dump it out, then make your hot chocolate, because thermal mass, it's going to cool off immediately.
Yeah.
If you pour it into a cold mug, it's going to start cooling off. If you preheat your mug, then it stays hotter for so much longer. So
that's great.
Just a little tip. A lot of people don't know about it. It's like if your coffee's getting cold on you, if your hot chocolate's getting cold on you, it's like you got to preheat your mug. It's a game changer. So we've really strayed far off topic now, but I feel like we're still talking about it, you know. So anything
if you want to stray off topic, you just need to talk equipment, like trumpet equipment, mics. We'll be here for hours.
Maybe that's the thing we return to. That'll be another 3 or 4 hours of.
Yeah. Well, I need to do a little thing on all these, little trumpet mute stands that I have now mounted, hanging on the wall.
I never noticed that was what it actually was, and that's quite amazing.
And I had it made, and then he also made this thing, the little trumpet mouthpiece stand, which is fun. He has one that mounts on the wall. I got like a lot of content here for future videos that's coming up. But
you can't show me that. I'm prohibited in buying things right now. So
these are
that looks amazing.
These are all actually really very inexpensive. I think this one that he makes is like $5 or something.
Oh,
it's just like it's $7. It's like it's just wood that he's laser cut, and then it just like goes together, and you just glue it together. And this holds like 8 mouthpieces, but he has a different one that like you put little sticky tape on the back, and then you can just like mount it on the wall, mount it on your desk, on wherever, and it's like mouthpiece. I don't have that many mouthpieces. I'm not a mouthpiece. I'm not a big like a gear head, which is ridiculous because I have like over 200 mutes. But I love mutes. But it's like I got into it, you know. I was into it, and then like the whole YouTube thing, like it got out of control. But with trumpet,
you do well with mute, so it's fine. So
yeah, well, like trumpets and mouthpieces and bore size and like gap and throat and cut, like I don't know any of that. I have no idea what my mouthpiece like like all of the inner workings of it. Some people like David could tell you like every facet of a mouthpiece that exists, every detail that you didn't even know to ask about. I don't know any of it.
Be happy he's not here for that. I wish he was here, but he knows a lot about mouthpieces, and oh man.
Yeah.
Shout out to David, our third co-director for TMTC. David,
Yes.
hope you're doing well.
And
I hope you're watching too.
yeah, better be. Otherwise you're in trouble. Ridiculous. Okay, so
No,
this has been awesome. This has been great. A lot of fun. I always enjoy hanging with both of you. I feel like did either you or any of you three ever think about submitting to the ITG about doing a presentation about multi-track and maybe talking about the competition or being a sponsor or doing some of that and then like getting the word out in that capacity?
It is on our radar. Yes.
At some
Cool.
point in the future, yes.
Cool.
Mhm.
I feel like that, that's another just great way to reach the wider trumpet community. And as we just discussed, ITG was just a week ago, so I'm still that's still in front of mine because I attended and got to do the hang and check everything out. But for everyone who has been doing the hang with us here and live or watching the replay, I want to thank you very much for joining us. It's been great to be able to invite Marcus and Brandon here and be able to, chat trumpet, chat this, this competition, put a lot out there. And, I think there's a lot for a lot of people to consider. And I think that more people, once they find out about this, they're gonna want to get in and like understand just how valuable the skill set is, like for their everyday life, for their career, for every, it's not just like a entering a 5K or something. It's like this is giving you valuable valuable life and music skills. So I applaud both of you, and I'll let you both if there's any final words or anything you want to share, or where can people connect with both of you?
Marcus, you want to take it away?
Sure. Well, you can connect to us as an organization at trumpetmtc.org. You can also find us at YouTube. If you search Trumpet MTC, you can find all of our stuff there as well. We are also on Facebook as well, but trumpetmtc.org, you'll find all of those socials. You can also find me on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram at MS Grant Music, MSGRANT Music. So that's youtube.com/MS Grant Music, TikTok.com/@MS Grant Music, Instagram.com/MS Grant Music. Those are my main platforms. msgrantmusic.com is my website. So feel free to check that out as well.
Terrific. And
To
Brandon?
And you can find my main tag, BDix Music, which you can look me up, bdixmusic.com. And I'm mainly on YouTube nowadays. So, yeah, check me out there.
Are you just at BDix Music?
Yes, for Instagram. And if you type in Brandon Dix Trumpet for YouTube, you'll find me.
Right. There he is. That's his IG. And you can connect with them, find them. These are good people. I like to think that the trumpet community as a whole is good people. A lot of
It's true. Yep.
we're all in this struggle together. Like we're all trying to do the same thing. And that's a good place to be. It's a good community to be surrounded with. And yeah, just a real big thank you for both of you joining me today and coming and hanging on the channel. And I think we reached a lot of people, so this is great. And anyone who's watching, if you got questions, you know how to contact the TMTC, how to contact Marcus and Brandon and myself, and we will be happy to answer questions if you got them. Keep posting them. And I think that's all we got today, right? We're good.
Yeah.
We did it.
We're all set.
Thank
you so much, Josh, for inviting us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Oh, of course. I think this has been a fun hang. This is what I enjoy about. This is one of the things I really enjoy about like the YouTube live thing. It's like you can do these cool hangs, and especially I like this StreamYard software that I use that lets me like, you know, be really interactive with having different people and bringing things up. And it's like, this is cool. So, you know, trying to cultivate that a little bit more. So I do appreciate you being here, and I'm so glad I was able to kind of share what you guys are doing. I think a lot of people on my channel, I hope, are going to watch this and be like, oh, wait a minute, this is something I should do. So, all right, that's all we got. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us and for watching. And that's all we got for the stream today. I'm going to have another, I think I'm going to do an ITG recap stream like really soon. I might, you know, just share some of the different gadgets and whatnot that I brought home from the ITG, and talk about some of the performances that I went to and some of the hangs. Man, some of the hangs were just epic. 2:30, 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m. These are like the late hang after the concerts end at 10, 11 p.m. You know, you just get together with your heroes and you're sitting, talking music, and just like unbelievable. So really an inspiring week. So very happy about that, and just great to be able to continue that inspiration here, finding out more about this TMTC competition season 3. So that's what we got. And I think I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you soon.